Am I audible, everyone? Now, screen is also clear for to everyone. Is the PPT clear to you? Okay. I will start with our lesson. That is environmental balance. Now, what we are going to see in this through this lesson, what we are going to see, we will see here. See, through this lesson, we will understand biodiversity and the environment. What is biodiversity and the environment? We are going to study about the biodiversity and the environment. Related food chain and food web. We are going to study about the food chain and about the food web. Okay. We know about the environmental balance. How environment balance our nature. How the environment balance our nature. We are going to see this. Environment is everything that is around us. Everyone must be knowing what is environment. Environment क्या होता है जो अपने आजू बाजू में है. It's all life living things that is called a environment. It can be living or non-living things. वो दोनों भी हो सकते हैं, living और non-living things. Okay, जो around us, हमारे around जो है, it's called an environment. Air, water, then soil, trees, plants, animals, all living things, all things are element of environment. These are the elements of environment. ये जो भरा पड़ा है, what is this? Air, water, soil, these are the elements of the environment. Trees, plants are the elements of environment. Every place on the earth has same kind of living thing. जहाँ पर भी जाओ, human beings are there. Go anywhere, human beings are there. Animals are there. Plants are there. Birds are there. Means everything. Air is there. Water is there. Land is there. Soil is there. Trees are there. Means animals are there. Means everywhere. Wherever you go, everything is there. That is called an environment. All living things and non-living things depend upon each other. All living things and non-living things depend upon each other. We will see ahead how they depend upon each other. How they are depending upon each other. Now we'll see about the biodiversity. What is biodiversity? So you see, different places have many different types of trees. Whenever you go anywhere, you go in Kashmir, there is having different types of trees. Okay, birds, animals, insects, etc. You come here, we are having different types of trees, birds, animals, insects, etc. Means wherever in any different place you go, you will find different types of living things or non-living things. The variety we see in all the living things that belongs to a particular area is called the biodiversity of that place. उसको क्या बोलते हैं? जहाँ पे different types of trees, birds, animals are there, insects are there, that we are calling a biodiversity of that place, which changes. Biodiversity is made up of two words. Bio means life. Bio, life. And diversity means a variety of animals, birds, trees, insects, etc. Bio means what? Life of animals, birds, etc. means variety. This is called a variety. Diversity means what? Variety. Together means variety of life on the earth. Together means variety of life on the earth. Now we'll see about the environment. Now what is this? The environment. The surrounding and the condition. Everyone understood about the biodiversity? Everyone understood about the biodiversity? Come on, tell me. Please tell me yes there. So I can understand that you understood the biodiversity. Okay. Did you understood about the biodiversity? Everyone understood about the biodiversity? Let me know. Bio means what? What I said, bio means life, and diversity means what? Means a variety of life. Okay, now we'll see about the environment. We'll see about the environment. Come on. Again, the PPT side. The surrounding and the condition in those surroundings which affects the life of various biodiversity there are together known as the environment. It includes sunlight. Sunlight भी जरूरी है. We need an air also, we need water also, we need land also, we need plants also, we need animals also. Means each and everything we needed in the environment. Environment में ये सब कुछ चाहिए. Why we need sunlight? Because that is the food of the plant. Why we need air? To breathe. Why we need water? To survive. Why we need land? To stay on the land. प्लांट क्यों जरूरी है? टू ईट. एनिमल्स कैन ईट द प्लांट्स. एनिमल जिंदा रहेगी कहाँ से? प्लांट्स के ऊपर. डिपेंड्स अपॉन द प्लांट्स. Why we need animals? To eat us also. We are also eating a chicken. We are also eating a meat of goat and all that. So we need an animal also. Environment needs all these things. Environment needs all these things. Now we will see about the food chain. Can you see the picture over there? See, all depends upon the rat. Rat depends upon the caterpillar. Grasshopper. Grasshopper depends upon the grass. Means each of this depends upon each other. Each of this depend upon one another. हम लोग एक दूसरे पर निर्भर है खाने के लिए. Understood everyone? We need everything. We need grass also. अभी खेती नहीं करोगे तो how we will get rice, wheat and all that? Yes or no? Means we need everything that is present in the environment. That is present in the environment. Each picture is a food of next picture. एक दूसरे के पिक्चर के ये सब कुछ क्या है? खाना है, फूड है. दिस इज अ चेन विच एग्जिस्ट बिटवीन दिस 4 लिविंग थिंग्स. सच chain exists between other living things also. That is called a food chain. That is called a food chain. Okay, now we will see next picture. You will come to understand. One living thing can be a part of many food chain. Can you see? Bird को कौन कौन खा सकता है? देखो, bird can be eaten so many kinds. ये bird को कौन कौन खा सकता है? See, you can see over here. Sorry. See. Combination of many food chain is called a food web. Means we are depending upon each other. We are depending upon each other. Butterfly can be see, butterfly is eating what? Grasses. Then butterfly कौन खाता है? Frog. Then who eats the frog? Eagle eats the frog. Yes or no? Then this fox eats the squirrel. Squirrel eat what? Plant again. Even sparrow eats the plant. Yes or no? Caterpillar is also eating a plant, and a frog is also eating a caterpillar. Then snake is eaten by the eagle. See, then snake eats what? Sparrow. Means so many we are depending on each other. एक means एक ही नहीं है, एक दूसरे को खाने से ही हम लोग जिंदा रह सकते हैं. Yes or no? So this is called a food web. So this is called a food web. Now we will see how the environment gets a balance. How the environmental gets a balance. Food web is one of the cycle which exists in the nature. Food web एक दूसरे को खाने से हम जिंदा रह सकते हैं. It's called a nature. It's depend everything depends upon the nature. इसमें से एक भी exist हुआ, कम हो गया, extinct हुआ, कम हो गया, तो पूरा balance, environmental balance हिल जाएगा. It gets disturbed. All the environmental balance get disturbed. There are many more natural cycles like water cycle, nitrogen cycle, cycle of oxygen, carbon dioxide between the plants and the animals. These are also called a cycle. In first chapter we see about the water cycle. How does the rain gets? Okay, so this all depends upon the cycle. जो चल रहा है environment में, it's called a cycle. An environment is called healthy environment when all natural cycles go side by side without any disturbance. ये सब कुछ क्या है? Natural है. Environmental natural cycle is there. It goes by side without disturbing any of the nature. और disturb नहीं होता है. It does not disturb any of the nature. Okay? Here I finish it. Any type of disturbance in the nature balance affects the environment. Any छोटा भी disturbance हो गया nature में, it balance affect the environment. यहाँ पे environment को पूरा हिल जाता है. It get disturbed totally, which ruins the human life also. Our life is also depend upon the human beings. Okay, our life is also depend upon the environment. Our life is also human beings. Life is also depend upon the environment. In nature, if any one animal is extinct, means no longer exists, खत्म हो गया. Like dinosaurs nowadays, dinosaurs are there? No, they are finished. They are eaten by themselves only. उनको कुछ खाने को नहीं मिलता तो उन्होंने क्या किया? खुद को खाना चालू कर दिया. It affects the whole food web. If any of the animal gets कम हो जाएंगे, exist हो जाएंगे, it affects the whole food web. अभी समझो मुझे सिर्फ डायनासोर ही पसंद है खाने के लिए, मुझे नहीं मिल रहा है डायनासोर खाने के लिए, What happened? I will wait for the dinosaur. कब आएगा कब आएगा? I'm not going to eat without. I want only to eat dinosaur only. अभी नहीं मिल रहा है तो I'm going to die because मुझे वही खाना है. पर अभी वो है नहीं है. Dinosaur is not there in the nature. Then what happened? I am going to die. तो मैं मर जाऊंगी. अरे मुझे किसी और को मुझे को इसको खाना होगा. मीन्स किसी और को मुझे खाना होगा. तो वो बोलेगा नहीं अभी मुझे वही खाना है. Then he will die. This is called a cycle. This is called a procedure. Okay. Plants are the most important part of food chain because they prepare food. How the plants prepare their food? Photosynthesis. Everyone must be knowing this. You must be studying in in standard 4. What is photosynthesis? I think so. Plants prepare their own food with the help of sunlight. Everyone must be knowing that themselves, and hence are the starting point of the food chain. Plant is must. Plants सबसे food chain का क्या है? Starting point है. Plant is the starting point of food chain. If plants prepare their own food, does it means they are not depend on any other living forms? No, they are depending on any other living form. Which is that? That is sunlight. That is oxygen. Plants also depend upon some of the living forms, that is sunlight and the oxygen. That is sunlight and the oxygen. See, along with the sun, water, carbon dioxide, chlorophyll, plants need lot of manure. अभी manure means क्या होता है? खत, fertilizer. खत, manure means what? खत जो हम लोग plants को डालते हैं. अभी ये manure कहाँ से आता है? अभी we cannot go in jungle to put a manure. We cannot go in jungle to put a fertilizer, pesticide over there. Okay, we cannot go, no. So nature ही उसमें manure जमा करता है. कैसे? If any of the animal get died, सूख जाते हैं, that bones became a soil. उनके bones में क्या होता है? Soil में mix हो जाते हैं. पूरा चूरा चूरा होता है bones का. That soil means that bones goes into the soil. Soil में जाने के बाद एक plant उग जाता है वहाँ पे. What becomes? Plant उग जाता है. Even the animals waste रहता है ना, जो लोग खाते हैं बाहर निकालते हैं, that is also a manure for the plant. That is also a manure for the plant. Okay, manure to make food. All this manure comes from the dead leaves, dead plants, dead animals, and excreta of animal. Excreta means the waste of animal. Excreta means क्या? The waste of animal. It means that all living things depend on other living things. Even the plants depends upon other things. I told you this, each and every living things depend upon the other living things. This is called the environmental balance. Environmental balance बोलते हैं. What we call this? This is also known as the environmental balance. All the dead matter and excreta is first converted into useful manure and composed before plants use it. And compost before plants use it. There are lots of living forms which do this for plants. Some living forms are tiny, but we can see them like worms. इतने छोटे छोटे रहते हैं, वो भी खाना खाते हैं ना. Worms are there. They also want to eat. वो भी जिंदा रहना चाहिए, उनको भी जिंदा रहना है ना. What we call them? We call them a worms. What we call them? See, this is a worm. We call them a worm. Some living things which also help in making manure are very very tiny. Very very tiny means micro. Very very tiny means what? Micro. We cannot see them with our naked eyes. We cannot see them with our अपने खुद के open eyes से we cannot see them. We can see them with the microscope or that which glass is there. अरे बाबा उसका नाम क्या है? Okay, I'll tell you afterwards. These are called a microorganism. What we call that? Microorganism. Microorganisms are the living things which cannot be seen with the bare eyes. अपने खुले eyes में नहीं देख सकते because they are very very micro, because they are very very tiny, very very small. They are present everywhere. Small कीड़ा तो रहता ही है. In the rainy season so much insects are there. So we should take protection of ourselves, protect ourselves. इसलिए तो अभी कोरोना वायरस है, so we are inside the house because of that virus. Okay, so same in the rainy season, so many tiny small microorganisms, insects are there. So we should not go outside, we should not play in the mud, we should not play in the chikkal and all that. उसके अंदर कितने germs रहते हैं, you must be not knowing also. You cannot see from your naked eyes, from your eyes. They are present everywhere in the soil, land, air, water. So we are drinking water, boiling water पीते हैं in rainy season. Things around us. छोटे छोटे घर के अंदर भी तुम लोग देख सकते हो, वॉल पर ही देखते हैं ना, छोटे 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 लाइक कॉकरोचेस ऑल्सो देयर, दिस गांडू है, देखो अर्थवर्म इज देयर, रहते हैं कहाँ ना कहाँ रहते हैं वो. Inside our body also worm is there. You must be knowing. Ask your parents which worm is there inside your body, in your stomach. After eating the sweets, क्या बन जाता है पेट के अंदर? You must be knowing this. They help us the whole environment in many different ways. All the living things which help in converting dead matter into useful nutrition for plants are known as a decomposer. They decompose, break down all the dead matter and excreta of animal into the nutrition. This means बोलते हैं ना, excreta, dead matter is the nutrition for the plant. These are the nutrition for the plant. Understood, children? Everyone clear? This is all of our chapter. We will see afterwards the question session. Everyone understood? Everyone understood? Jay's Harpade is sleeping. Okay, very good, Kanishka. You are the monitor of the class. Good, seeing that. So I told you to off the cameras. Children, I told you to off the cameras. Yes or no? Then also your cameras are on. Okay. Now we will see about the video regarding this chapter. It takes only hardly 2 to 5 minutes. Give me 1 second, children. You'll come to understand everything clearly, what I taught you.
Jane, an interesting chapter in...
Just tell me, is the video audible for you? Okay?
Good morning, students. Today, we are going to...
Is the video audible? Come on, tell me. Okay. Just see, use your microphone, children, because the voice of the video is very less. वहाँ से लेस आता है. Okay, so use your microphone. I will request you to use the microphone. Means you will get the clear voice.
Good morning, students. Today, we are going to do an interesting chapter in science, which has a deep link with us. All species are important and help in keeping ecosystem balanced. The balance of nature is a concept which describes the state of equilibrium between living organisms like human beings, plants, and animals, and also their environment. Now we will try to understand the food chain through a following video.
All living things need energy to survive. Where does that energy come from? Well, matter and energy passes from one organism to another, connecting living things like links in a chain. A food chain. Of course, a food chain is not an actual chain. It's a way to talk about the relationships between organisms and show how matter and energy flow between living things. Every living thing on Earth is part of a food chain, including you, and most things are part of more than one. All of the energy in Earth's food chains comes from the sun. The sun's energy reaches the Earth as light and heat, and plants capture some of it and convert it into food through photosynthesis. Because plants make or produce their own food from the sun's energy, they are called producers. Every food chain must begin with a producer. For example, grass. That's because animals cannot create their own food. They must eat or consume energy from other sources. That's why animals are called consumers. The second link in a food chain is a consumer that eats plants, an herbivore. When an animal eats plants, some of the energy the plant captured from the sun is transferred into the animal's body, where it is used for things like moving, breathing, and growing. An herbivore is called a primary consumer. Primary means first, because an animal eating plants is the first consumer in the food chain. Let's add a rabbit to our food chain. Next comes a secondary consumer, the second consumer in the food chain. This consumer is a carnivore and gets their energy by eating other animals. Maybe our rabbit will get eaten by a fox. When the fox eats the rabbit, part of the energy that the rabbit got from the grass is transferred to the fox. This is the end of this simple food chain. The rabbit eats the grass, then the fox eats the rabbit. The energy that came from the sun is captured by the grass, transferred to the rabbit, and then transferred to the fox. Some food chains are longer than this one, but there can't be too many links in a food chain. Each animal in the food chain uses up a lot of the energy from the previous level instead of passing it on, meaning that only about 10% of the energy consumed by an animal will be passed on to the next level. Let's take a look at a longer food chain that also begins with grass. This time, let's make our primary consumer a grasshopper. The grasshopper eats the grass and then gets eaten by a secondary consumer, a bluebird. Then the bluebird gets eaten by a tertiary or third level consumer, snake. The snake is eaten in turn by an owl. The owl is the apex predator in this food chain. Apex predators are not hunted and eaten by any animals. We say that they are at the top of the food chain. You probably recognize a lot of apex predators, like lions, sharks, eagles, and crocodiles. Just because they don't get eaten doesn't mean that they don't contribute to the food chain, however. When an animal dies, their body is broken down by decomposers. Decomposers are usually bacteria and fungi that break down dead plants and animals into nutrients in the soil, that in turn help the plants at the beginning of the food chain to grow. It's the circle of life. Natural ecosystems usually have more complicated food chains, however. A network of interconnected food chains is called a food web. The arrows are used to show which direction the energy flows and help keep track of the connections between organisms. Now that you understand a little bit more about food chains, see if you can find the connections between living things around you.
Food chain in ecology, the sequence of transfer of matter and energy in the form of food from organism to organism. Food chain intertwine locally into a food web because most organisms consume more than one type of animal or plant. Food chain is made of producer, consumers, and decomposers. Plants which convert the solar energy to food by photosynthesis is the primary source of the food chain. Producers are organisms that can obtain energy without taking in matter from other animals. Producers get their energy from non-living things such as sunlight. Because of this, producers are known as autotrophs. Since producers do not eat other organisms, they are at the bottom of food chain. So producers are autotrophs or organisms that produce their own food. Animals who eat other animals for the survival are known as consumers. The role of consumers in an ecosystem is to obtain energy by feeding on other organisms. Just that affect consumers can impact other organisms within the ecosystem. They are also known as heterotrophs because they don't prepare their own food. Student decomposers are very small. We cannot see them through our naked eyes. To see them, we need microscopes. They are always present in our environment, in the air. The decomposers eat dead organisms, both producers and other consumers, and break down the remains. Decomposers process decaying tissues and return nutrients and other necessary molecules. Students, there are many processes and cycles present in our environment due to which environmental balance is maintained. And out of that, the one process we are going to talk about is photosynthesis. It is the process by which autotrophy, that means plant, use light energy to make sugar and oxygen gas from carbon dioxide and water. This process, oxygen is given out and carbon dioxide is taken in to prepare food by the plants. Another process is water cycle, students. Water evaporates from ocean and then returns to the land in the form of rain is known as water cycle. Now students, you can look at the picture and can think about it, what it's representing. It represents that grass is eaten by grasshopper, grasshopper is eaten by frog, frog is eaten by snake, and at last snake is eaten by fox. And after that, there is a role of decomposers, such as microorganisms. Students, all living things need energy to live and grow, and the flow of energy from an organism to another is known as food chain. A food chain shows the feeding relationship between different organisms in a particular environment or habitat. A food chain is a network of links in a food web. It shows a direct transfer of energy between organisms. So students, at last, environmental balance brings the existence of the world. Us inhabitants such as human beings, plant and animals, and other microorganisms continue to survive. These species get a conducive environment to multiply and thrive. The world gets to produce sufficient food for all species. By maintaining green environment, the world achieves its equilibrium state that benefits and protects all living organisms in it. Standard 4th.
Understood, everyone? Understood the chapter? Without chain, Prathamesh, we cannot live, ना? अगर चेन ही नहीं होगा, फूड चेन इज नॉट देयर, एक चेन टूट जाएगा तो पूरा बैलेंस होगा क्या नेचुरल? नो. इसलिए फूड चेंज होना जरूरी है. गॉट इट? नाउ I will ask you the question answers. It's a time for the question answer. Okay, chalo. Who will wrong answer? Depends upon each balance, no? Living and non-living things are dash on each other. Depend. Okay. Depend. Good. Depend.